clinical trials in Denmark have found that a high-protein diet may be your ticket towards better health. Let me explain. I'm Dr. Zyrowski, and what we're investigating today is a research study that was done by the Journal of Clinical Nutrition in Denmark. And what they did is they took 100 participants and they did 2 clinical trials. They had these participants follow a low-carb, high-protein diet. And I'm going to get to the specifics of how much carbs, how much proteins in just a minute. So they had these individuals follow this low-carb, high-protein diet, and what they found when these individuals followed this diet is that it improved their lipid profile, which is huge, and also it reduced liver fat. Here's the important part, is all of this happened regardless of the individuals not losing any weight at all. I think this is really important because we live in a society today where most people judge their level of health based on their weight. Well, if you're skinny, you must be healthy, and if you're fat, you must be unhealthy. Well, fact is that skinny people get cancer too. Skinny people are unhealthy, and there's people who are much larger who can have much healthier physiologies than the skinny person. You know, this is something we have to take into consideration. So these individuals were able to improve their lipid profile, which is huge considering how many people are taking cholesterol medications today. Literally, just follow a higher protein diet. That's as easy as it gets. And then also reduce liver fat. And when you reduce liver fat, this shows us a couple things. This shows us that you decrease the insulin resistance in your body, you improve the insulin sensitivity, and also you improve your overall metabolic health. So this is huge. This opens the door for weight loss down the road. Did you know that the food that your body burns for energy will be the predetermining factor in whether or not you have poor metabolic health? If you're always burning carbs for energy instead of fat, over time, this leads to insulin resistance. But how would you know what your body is using as a fuel source? Well, I have the answer for you. Over the last few months, I've been using a tool called Lumen. This at-home tracking device allows me to tell in real time whether I'm burning fat or carbs for energy simply by breathing into it. Using Lumen, I'm able to track how my diet or exercise affect how my metabolism is functioning. I personally like using Lumen to monitor when my body switches to using fat for energy when I'm intermittent fasting. I love using Lumen to see how metabolically flexible I am, and I think you will too. Lumen is truly the gold standard metabolic tracker and is actually validated by research, which is why I recommend it to my patients or anyone looking to measurably improve their health. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/DRZ15 to get 15% off your very own Lumen. That's lumen.me/DRZ15 to save 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this video. Now, when we look at the details of this particular study, what the individuals were following is a diet that was 30% carbohydrates, 30% protein, and 40% fat. Now, what's interesting about this is that I don't even consider a diet that's 30% carbohydrates to be a low-carb diet. Now, the reason that they're considering it a low-carb diet is simply because the conventional diet that most people follow today is around 350 grams or more of carbohydrates a day. This is the reason for one of the many reasons for the obesity epidemic that we face here today. Now, when you look at traditional keto, it's around 25 to 50 grams of carbohydrates. So these individuals were actually way higher than traditional keto, and yet they were still actually getting these amazing results. Now, what does this show us? This shows us that you don't have to go work out in the gym for 2 hours a day in order to improve your overall bodily health. You don't have to follow a very strict keto diet. You can actually start making some small changes, like increase your protein intake. Why is this so important? Well, it's really important because when you don't get enough protein, you tend to overeat. You tend to overeat calories, and you tend to backfill all the lack of protein that your body's not getting with things that you shouldn't be eating, like really low quality, low nutrient density carbohydrates, like let's say bagels, pasta, white breads, cookies, muffins. You get the point. So if we actually increase our protein intake, we automatically just start eating healthier. You'll have more stabilized blood sugar. As we've seen from this study, your overall lipid profile, your physiology as a whole will start to improve and trend towards better health. And you'll also find that you're not having the cravings all day, which is really important for anybody who's trying to get off sugar and lose weight. So we can see that this easy change that you make in your life can dramatically improve your health without doing crash diets or excessive gym time. Now, the big question becomes, well, how much protein should we actually eat? Well, one of the metrics I like to use is do 0.8 times your body weight. And when you look at your body weight, you're going to do your ideal body weight. So what this essentially means is that you're going to consider the weight that you would be at if you were a healthy individual. If you are 220 pounds right now, but you know that you're healthy at 180, you would use that 180 number. So you'd go 0.8 times 180. And this is a pretty good approach, and it's a really good area to strive for if you're somebody who's not eating enough protein regularly. I often find, especially women in my practice, when they come in, they're going to be following a diet that is extremely low in protein, sometimes 30 grams a day, 40 grams a day, whereas they should be upwards around 100 grams per day. So use that number and start working towards increasing your protein intake, and let's see what it does for your health. Let's see what it does long-term for weight loss, but we could also see, in the right now, what it starts to do for improving liver function and your overall cardiovascular health. Now, the other thing that you want to consider too is if you're somebody who exercises or is very highly active, you could actually use a 1-to-1 ratio. That is 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body weight. And this works for those who like to lift weights, exercise regularly, and who are very active. So this is how you could look at protein as a way to improve your health without putting the stress on yourself of trying to follow a very strict diet or a very strict gym routine. Simply increase your protein intake and see how that alone improves your health. I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend who needs this information, and I'll see you in this video next.